hello, all you beautiful people. I'm Amber Enerson,
I'm Kelsey Enerson.
and this is our podcast, You Are the Alchemist. It's been a couple weeks since we've recorded something because life has just gotten crazy, as it
It's
does.
the holidays, guys.
Yeah. Oh, it's the holidays and sickness and then everything that goes on in our daily lives. But this week I want to cover a little bit about the digital course that I've created. Right now I'm running a promotion on that digital course at $97. The digital course is 24 modules, and I'm going to share with you guys a little bit of my story so that you guys know why I know that this works.
And it's lifetime access. It's not something you have to get done within an allotted amount of time.
Right. It is like the 24, it's 6 different main points, and there's 4 lessons under each point. So it can be anywhere from 6 months to a year to however long it takes you guys to work through it. And it's going to be like the exact steps that I've taken throughout my own personal development journey. But I know that you guys kind of want to know my story and where I came from before you're like, oh yeah, this will definitely work. So I'm really nervous to share because I don't normally tell my story.
Well,
But
time to get on board. I've had to do all my nasty stuff.
I know. It's about time. So anyways, my story probably began when I was a kid. We had a lot of stuff going on in our home. You heard a lot of my sister's story and what she had going on. There was a lot of anxiety, a lot of religious stuff going on, a lot of feeling like I just didn't have a place in the world and I couldn't trust anyone. And while she was going through all of her mental health stuff that young, we didn't really have a lot of information on it back then. So my journey with psychology kind of started when we were kids. Like I would research it. I would do like personality tests. I would try and figure out why people are the way that they are. And just in general, I had a thing for psychology when I was young. Fast forward to probably 2015, I had decided that I was going to take legal studies for school. And while I was taking my legal studies degree, I decided that I didn't like law. And I had taken some psychology courses as electives.
Wait. You have to show some kind of vulnerability.
Well, I am going to.
Okay.
That's coming. It's coming.
You were messed up before 2015.
I know. But that's all part of the personal development journey, which is 3 years later.
Okay, all right.
So anyways, in 2015, I had started taking classes in psychology, and I was going to get my psychology degree. And most of you who know therapists or counselors or psychologists will know that a psychologist is very good at figuring out other people's issues, but does not spend very much time thinking about their own issues.
Yep.
So at my first experiences with psychology, I thought I was fine. I'm like, oh, I'm fine. I'm going to school. I have a good job. I have a relationship. I have all the stuff that you're supposed to have at this point
While I was in the
life.
background saying, Amber, you need help, Amber.
Well, most people were telling me I needed help. And I'm like, no, I'm fine. Like, I don't need anything. But I was very good at telling everybody else what they needed. So come around to about 2021. I think it was like 2020, 2021, somewhere in that range. I had gotten to like a really low point in my life where just nothing made sense. I was anxious. I was having panic attacks at work. I couldn't go like an hour without smoking or like some sort of way to cope, like smoking, drinking. And I had drank before. I had issues with drinking.
Boy, did you drink, girl. Woo.
I had issues with drinking when I was in my early 20s, and I was a borderline alcoholic, I would say.
I think you were an alcoholic.
Yeah.
You were like definitely a weekend alcoholic.
Yep, and like it would not be an uncommon sight for me to fall asleep with a bottle of wine in my hand.
Yep.
And that was after I had already drank 2 bottles before that one.
Yep.
So I had issues with drinking and stuff before, but I had kind of grown up and settled into a relationship, and he didn't really drink, so I didn't really drink.
You didn't really do anything.
No. And then we had kids and stuff, so I had gotten a little more responsible. But I still smoked or vaped. I was still very anxious. I did not take care of myself at all. I didn't know who I was or what I wanted. I didn't realize that almost everything that I knew about myself was false. It was all like a false persona of who I was. There was trauma and emotions and all kinds of shit that I just didn't deal with for years upon years upon years. And in
Calm
2021,
down.
I was like, yeah, I'm
Just
nervous.
act like you're talking to me.
I know, but I'm not just talking to you. I'm telling a bunch of people my story.
Yeah, but like they're not for real here. Like just act like you're talking to me and relax.
Okay.
Your hair is gonna fall out with you twirling it that much.
Yeah, that's my anxious thing.
Okay.
All right. So, anyways, come 2021, I was in my 30s at this point. I had both of my girls, and things were just falling apart from underneath me. There were a lot of situations where I was losing people that were really close to me, or I could lose them if I continued doing what I was doing. So I decided to launch this like personal development growth journey thing. I was like, I gotta figure my shit out. I am gonna read whatever I need to read. I'm gonna listen to whatever I need to listen to. I gotta figure this shit out because I can't keep going on this way. And I was working 50 to 60 hours a week. I was
And going to school.
and going to school as full-time student. I was taking care of my daughters when I wasn't at work, and I was getting like 4 to 6 hours of sleep, maybe, if I was lucky.
Yeah.
I was also taking Adderall because I do have ADHD. So that if anybody has any questions on how I did it all, that's how I did it.
Yeah, but that is not a suggestion.
No, that's not a suggestion.
Should not have been surviving on Adderall.
No, that's not, like Adderall and caffeine were the only things that I survived on, really.
Yeah.
So anyways, 2021, I really dove deep into my attachment style. I really started to learn like about my coping mechanisms and my nervous system and my subconscious mind and all of the things that were really keeping me stuck in that sort of life that I was in. That wasn't healthy. It wasn't healthy for me. It wasn't healthy for my kids. It wasn't healthy for anyone that was interacting with me on a daily basis because it was very I was just, it was chaos.
Well, you brought your anxiety into the room with everyone.
Right.
If that makes sense. And I'm not hating because I've done it many times. But it was hard to have a conversation with you because you were always going to like the biggest extreme of like what could possibly happen. Like thinking you're going to get murdered if you go on a cruise and like just like everything was like very and like so much, I don't even know, the energy was just so heightened that like it was a nervous like you were always nervous and you made everyone else nervous because they were like, the fuck is she nervous about? Should we be nervous? Like,
is there something we're missing?
Yeah,
here?
It's not that like we didn't care about you or love you. It was just like the energy was so,
haywire.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you always were coming from a good place, but you didn't know how to get from that good place to what you were trying to say without like confusing the fuck out of everybody.
And I still do that sometimes.
That's true.
I still do that sometimes, but I think that also has to do with how my brain works. So anyways, the Mindset Mentor podcast was a huge eye-opener for me. And I've introduced my sister and almost everyone I know I've introduced to that podcast because it was amazing and it helped me so much. But there were about 30 podcasts that I listened to. I've probably read 250 books since then. And I was literally looking into everything. I was looking into human design. I was looking into tarot. I was looking into astrology.
She tried to summon a demon. I'm just kidding.
No, I did not do that. I did not use the Ouija board.
Well,
even though, I probably could have if I would have kept down that path. So it was, but I say that because I went from one extreme to the other. Like I was so chaotic with like not knowing anything. And then I jumped into the chaos of trying to do too much at one time.
Yes.
Like I tried to change too many things at once. And when you try to change too many things at once, you head for a nervous breakdown because your mind is not prepared for that, which I did. I had multiple nervous breakdowns and multiple emotional breakdowns. I spent hours, I don't even know how many hours, like bawling my eyes out on my floor because I was so overwhelmed with what I was trying to learn. I was so overwhelmed with what I was trying to process.
You wanted results right away, and that's just not how these things happen.
Yeah. And it took, and I still have work. Like,
everyone always has work.
Yeah, personal development,
You'll never
healing,
stop.
mental health, like that is a lifelong journey. But that journey gets a whole lot easier when you have a guidebook for getting through it.
Yeah.
The right tools. And that's really like what my program is focused on. I went from being in a job that wasn't fulfilling, having emotional and nervous breakdowns all the time, not being able to make sense to anyone around me and causing anxiety to the people around me, that it honestly was easier for people to not be around me, which then perpetuated the cycle of me isolating myself. And that was the state of mind that I was in at that point in time. And now, like, I have launched my own business. I've created a digital course. I am going to be starting a job in the field that I love. I'm going to be working as a behavioral health tech at a correctional facility. I was able to make a lot of the changes that I was trying to make for so long, but couldn't figure out how to. And that is really what this program is about. Like, this program is the 6 pillars that I still use on a daily basis now.
It also helped you, like, pinpoint what issues were causing that stuff, too, though.
Yeah.
Like, what from my childhood is making me act this way? Why do I feel insecure about this? Why don't I trust anyone? And, like, it helps you, like, these kinds of journeys helps you figure out, like, oh, so I'm not just crazy. Like, there was actually a point in time that made this determination for me why my brain works this way.
Right. It's the way, like, it made it easier to identify. And I am a firm believer that knowledge is power. When you know something and you can understand something, then you have the power to change it if it's something within your control.
Yeah, that actually reminds me of this meme I saw the other day. It said, you know too much of psychology when you can't even be mad at someone because you know there's always a reason for why they're being that way.
Yeah, I saw that, and I loved that because it's so true. Like, it's very difficult for me to be angry at anyone anymore because...
And you should be.
Yeah, but like some
on
of the
certain
things,
occasions you should be, but
some of the things it's like, no, like what somebody is dealing with has nothing to do with me. What somebody is going through has nothing to do with me. That's their own journey. It's like I can recognize in other people, and like I see things in other people that they don't always realize. Just like Kelsey was able to point out to me. Like, I didn't know that I made the room feel anxious when I was in there.
Well, that was specifically to me, but I take on people's energy. Like, I can't feel content if someone is not content. That's just, and like some people can. Some people can just, let it slide off of them and just enjoy their time. But like with me, if I'm around anyone that is anxious, I can tell if someone's mad, even if they look like they're not mad. I can tell if someone is, lying. I can tell these things, and I don't know if it's just intuition or I learned as a child to read body language and read facial expressions because of the situations that we were in.
Right.
So I can see on someone's face something that they're trying to hide. I know every single time something's wrong with you. Every single time. And I'll ask you, what's wrong? Nothing. Amber, don't mess with me. You know that I know that something's wrong, so let's just get this over with. And then you fight more and more. But I know that you need to talk about something. You're just hiding it because you don't want to feel like a burden to someone.
Well, and I like to mask. Like, that's my...
Yeah, but...
that's my primary coping.
Masking isn't always good. Like, there's situations where, yes, you have to put the mask on, but you need to find those people or someone or something that you can bring your mask down with.
Right. And that has a lot to do with our past, too.
Well,
is
yeah.
there you couldn't trust anybody's intentions.
Right.
So you couldn't trust being yourself with anyone.
Right.
So it was always like, it's so much better if I just hide who I am, because then there's no judgment, there's no criticism, there's no nothing. You
Right.
just conform to whatever is expected of you,
Right.
which is what caused some of the biggest issues, because I conformed for so long and I masked for so long that I didn't even recognize it in myself.
Yeah. And
And
you
I
didn't even
went,
know what was you and what was fake.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I went 30 years, 30
Mhm.
years in that state. So throughout my story, and there's so much more,
There is. Yeah.
there's so much more to my story, but what I can say is I'm a very different person now than I was then. And even like the way I interact with other people, and when I enter a room, and the things that I let bother me are not as bad as they used to be. Like everything would bother me, or it would take like one thing to push me over the edge before it would be like, oh, I don't know how to recover from this, so I'm just going to shut down, or I'm
Right.
just going to act out.
Yeah.
And now, like, my tolerance has grown because of all of the work that I've been doing. And that's the reason why I developed this program, because I know that this stuff works. And I know that most people are not going to go out and read 250 books and listen to countless episodes of podcasts. And they're not going to go out and take a bachelor's degree and a master's degree and get another master's degree in mental health. So if I can shorten somebody else's journey from the 3 years that I had to put into it into 6 months or maybe a year, or at least just give somebody else the knowledge that they need to work through it on their own. Because I'm someone, I don't like to work through things with other people. I like to work through things on my own.
Yeah, so if you're someone that doesn't like therapy, you don't want to talk to a counselor, or you just straight up don't even know where to start to figure your shit out, like that's what this kind of thing is for.
Yeah, that's what the digital course, that was the generalized purpose of the digital course, was for people who like to work through things at their own pace, and they don't have to answer to anyone or like be accountable to anyone. Because I could have done like the coaching side of things, but I didn't want to find a coach. I didn't want to go to a therapist. I would rather have that knowledge for myself and be able to create it in a way that works for me. And that's why I created the digital course. And because it is something that's new to the market, I am offering it at a discounted rate at the $97 than what it would normally be.
Right.
But before we get into all of that, I'm going to attach the link and stuff. Like, you guys can look at it or you can't. I'm just giving you guys the information so that at least you know that there are resources for you.
Right.
And that you can access this at cheaper than what you would have to go to one therapy appointment for.
Yeah. For real.
Not that I would discount therapy either.
No.
Like, if you need therapy, go to therapy. If you want therapy, go to therapy. This is not to replace any type of mental health intervention you're doing on your own. This is just an additional resource that if you want to look into it, you can. And if not, it's no big deal. But at least you guys know it's there. And I want to go through like the 6 pillars of what has been most influential for me. The first pillar is like healing, which is going to be like learning to recognize your patterns, learning to recognize your default programming, learning about your attachment style, your coping mechanisms, and the different things that have repeated throughout your life that you want to change but don't really know how to change. Then the second pillar has been my subconscious mind. Like, understanding the subconscious mind has been a huge change for me, because your subconscious mind controls like 95% of what you do and 95% of your habits. So the subconscious mind goes through like your inner child, your ego, shadow work, and unresolved trauma, which normally ends up unresolved because we don't recognize that what we're going through is still traumatic, even if it's not what we identify as trauma. The next pillar was your identity. And really, your identity is about who you are now and who you want to be, and the gap between those two things. And then it's also about like what's most important to you, your core values. Then it's going to cover the challenges, which is like nervous system regulation, emotional regulation, how you speak to yourself, and then being able to take radical responsibility for where you're at in life. Because often we struggle with that because we don't realize that we have more control than we think we do. A lot of times we think that we're out of control over our own mind, but it's actually the opposite. If you recognize something, you have more control over it. The next one is going to be energy and like how your energy is drained, what drains your energy, what replenishes your energy. And then it also goes into masculine and feminine energy, which a lot of people don't realize that every single person has both of these things within them. And that if your energy types are out of balance, then you're either doing too much or you're not doing enough. Because the masculine energy is like you're doing energy, you're making sure that you're finishing goals, while your feminine energy is like being able to relax and rest and give yourself the time and space that you need to do everything that you're doing. So that is what the energy portion is about. And then the last portion, the sixth pillar, is like caring for your physical body. So it has a lot to do with your physical health, your diet, your exercise, your sleep, your whether you're doing yoga or meditation or breath work or things that will actually relax your body and take you out of your mind and into your body. And that's just the six things. Each one of those pillars has 4 lessons in it. And it'll go into way more detail than what I just did. But if it weren't for me learning these things and doing these things, I wouldn't be where I'm at now as far as the transformation that I've gone through. So that's just to give you guys a little information on that. And then, yeah, if you guys have any questions, like send me an email because our email address is going to be posted on the podcast. I'll also put the link on there. And then anything else that you want to talk about?
No, I was just here for the ride.
Yeah. And to point out that I made everyone around me anxious.
Oh my gosh.
Thanks for that.
Are you going to hold on to that?
No, actually I like that. I do like that. I'm just giving you a hard time because you don't realize how you affect other people.
Oh shit, I know.
Like
Trust me.
When you're going through that, you don't realize how it's actually affecting your environment.
People, yeah.
Yeah. So I appreciate it when someone's like, yeah, I can see the difference because this is how you used to make me feel, and now this is how I feel.
Right.
Hopefully I don't always make you feel that way now.
No, you don't. But I've also done my own work too, so.
Right. And this is just like, it's just a map for you guys. If you decide to take that course or look into that course, it's just a map for you guys to follow. Everything that you take from it and glean from it is going to be different than what I did. But I'm sharing my journey because I am very happy with the results that I've gotten.
Right.
Like, I'm going to keep going. But I'm very happy with how far I've already come. And I would love to make that easier for someone else.
Yeah.
And give them more identification on how to get there. And the program does include a video lesson, which is like 15 to 20 minutes long. It includes a worksheet, and it includes journaling prompts for each one of these pillars and each one of these lessons. So it's also stuff like you're going to get the knowledge, but you're also going to get things that you can do to reflect your own way and to do self-reflection and really focus in on how that might be showing up in your life. But I would say that about wraps up that.
Yeah.
And yeah, we'd love to hear from you guys. We are going to try and stay more consistent with the episodes. It just gets really tough with daily schedules and stuff and holidays.
Yeah, and here comes Christmas, so
yeah,
no promises.
Yeah, but hopefully after that, with me starting my job and Kelsey working her job, we'll have to figure out something. But if there is anything you guys want us to talk about, go ahead and email us, post it on Facebook, send us a message. We love hearing from you, even just your experiences with the podcast.
All right.
See you
later.
Until next time.